All right, so welcome to another rapid fire business story of the week. This is part of our rapid fire series, and today we have an incredible guest with us, someone who's achieved extraordinary success and is here to share their unique business journey with you. We're excited to hear their insights, so let's welcome them to the show. All right, so as this is our rapid fire series, we've got 1 minute or less to answer each question. So, in a minute or less, give us the elevator pitch to your story and your life. Go.
Yeah, so 34 weeks ago today, I died from a sudden cardiac arrest, August 23rd, 2024. That gives you pause to think and reevaluate, why are you here? What is my mission? And great pause. That event caused me to reinvent myself. I'd had a corporate career with Fortune 500 companies like General Mills, United Health Group, Blue Cross, Mayo Clinic, in leadership roles, building new businesses for those companies. After my cardiac arrest, I have a new mission, and it's to help others be the world's best version of themselves. I believe all of us have the power, capacity, and talents to do that.
So that's fascinating, and I would love to dig a little bit deeper. So tell us a bit more about what you're working on today that you're most passionate about and believe will have the biggest impact.
Yeah, I'm spending a lot of time writing my book these days. The working title is Dying to Be the World's Best. I believe all of us have the power, capacity, and talents to be the world's best version of ourselves. And so I want to help people with the tools and methods and ability to implement that in their lives on a daily basis. The book will do that. I'm also speaking and coaching and helping people one-on-one as well as in workshops to be the world's best version of themselves. And it's really impactful and great to see people make that transformation for their friends, their family, their loved ones, their coworkers. It's really a wonderful thing to be.
So this next question is one that every entrepreneur has dealt with. Tell us about a time where you failed. We often say failure is the first step to success. So think about a time where you failed in the past. What happened? What did you learn from it?
Yeah, I failed plenty of times. I worked my corporate career in new business development. And, you probably fail more than half the time. So plenty of times for failure. And I think it's important to take the learnings out of those. In 2009, I helped work on one of the first telehealth rollouts. And no one had heard of telehealth. The pandemic taught us all what telehealth was. But back in 2009, no one knew how to spell the word. Patients didn't know how to use it. Physicians didn't know how to use it. And so while we were successful in the short run, there were too many moving parts relative to reimbursement and the regulatory environment that we just couldn't get past. And I think that helped inform future efforts in the success of telehealth being part of our daily lives now. But at the time, I learned a lot about the complexities of a regulatory environment.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. And we're definitely going to have you back on the show to dive deeper into each of these questions. But for now, one thing that I often say is, and I tell this to my employees and the people who work with me and for me all the time, is that when a tree falls in the forest, if nobody hears it, did that tree actually fall? This brings me to this next question. How do you make sure that all of these amazing projects that you're involved in get noticed? What marketing and advertising methods have worked best for you? You've got a minute. Let's go.
Yeah, well, I'm on LinkedIn extensively, and I'd encourage people to follow me, Sig Muller, on LinkedIn, as well as my business, Be the World's Best, on LinkedIn. But for me to have an impact and make a difference and not be a tree that falls silently in the woods, it's really about having an impact on people. When I speak to an audience of 5,000 people, for example, if they walk out of that room and don't take the action steps to change their life that I've outlined, I've given the tools to, then I haven't been successful. So I love it. I use a tool called Talkadot that gives me feedback from the audience. as well as just direct feedback from people. When I get that message on LinkedIn or that email back that says a week after I spoke that they changed their life, they thought about, how am I spending my day? How am I spending my time? Am I spending 5% on the things most important to me? Have I changed my attitude to be more positive? And when I get messages back saying people, they've implemented some of those things, to me, that's what makes a difference. It goes beyond the keynote speech.
That was so awesome. We're definitely going to dive deeper into this on a later show. And as we approach our last question, before we ask people how people can get a hold of you, how people can reach you, learn more about the work that you're doing in your company, and we will include all that information in the show notes. What I wanted to ask you is, what is one piece of advice that you would offer to your younger self, to our audience, and to somebody, especially somebody who's just starting out in the same niche that you're in, but just doesn't know how to start or get going?
I've always felt it's important to have fun at what you do, and I love working with smart people who are passionate about it. And if you can intersect those two things, you'll have a joy-filled life. For me, it took my sudden cardiac arrest to solve some of that, but if we can early on find out what our mission is, and sometimes passion, the root, the etymology of passion is suffering. We have to go through some suffering and hard times to find our passion. But if we can find our passion early in our life, focus on the things that bring you joy, that bring you happiness, focus on the things that are worthwhile, that make a difference in your life.
Amazing stuff. We're going to have to thank our guest today for being a guest on Business Story of the Week. And before we cut out on this episode, I wanted to ask you, how can people get a hold of you? How can people learn more about what you're doing? And how do people engage with you? And we will transcribe this and put it in the show notes for everybody to find.
Yeah, you bet. So I'm on LinkedIn, as I said, Sig Muller, as well as my business is there, Be the World's Best. You can go to my website, betheworldsbest.com, and I am also on Facebook at Be the World's Best. So shoot me a DM in LinkedIn, or shoot me an email. My email is sig@betheworldsbest.com, and I look forward to hearing from people and opportunities to help you be the world's best version of yourself.
All right, amazing. So you did it. Thank you for being a guest on the show today. Let me tell you what you can expect next. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this, we're going to cut it into an episode. It will go on the Business Story of the Week page. So make sure you go on Apple Podcasts, review us, like us, go on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to us on Spotify. And this will come out in the next 30 days or so, depending on our workload and how many shows we have. We have had a lot of interest in the show lately, so we may be a little backed up, but the show will get out. In the meanwhile, we will send you clips that feel free to share on social. Also, the full episode, feel free to share any way that you like. The content is yours to share and put out there. We just ask that you mark us and tag us in the notes if you do. So in the copy, put hashtag Business Story of the Week, link back to us. We would appreciate that. And if you think that you might be interested in doing more podcasts, live ones and studio ones, Zoom ones, Riverside ones, there's a whole host of shows that likely, if you did this one and succeeded, you would probably be really great at, and a great way of getting your message out. So your host will talk to you about potentially getting you booked on a strategy call for a Business Story of the Week's sister company, Podcast Cola, or becoming a YouTube influencer through Viral Mirage. Thanks again for being a part of this. Looking forward to working with you.